Magandang araw sa ang panig kayo naroroon sa mundo. Annyeonghaseyo. Konnichiwa. Ni hao. Ako po ulit si Terry, aka the Pinay Crime Investigator. Let's get right into today's crime story. Tingnan natin ang ating case board. Can you see a picture of two adorable kids? Their names are Michael Daniel Smith and Alexander Tyler Smith. The fate of these two kids will ultimately break your heart. It all started with this 911 call.
Have any weapons, gun, anything?
You got a gun?
Got a gun.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a short clip from a 911 emergency call made from the home a woman by the name of Susan Smith ran to on October 25, 1994. As according to Susan, her children Michael and Alexander were abducted by a black man. So paanong from her reporting a carjacking incident plus kidnapping of her children, Susan was sentenced to life in prison from murdering Michael and Alexander. Balikan muna natin yung buhay ni Susan growing up. Same with Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, Susan had a troubled life. Nagsimula yun nung nagpakamatay yung father niya when she was only 6. That turned Susan into a depressed child na she herself attempted to commit suicide at age 13. Years after, nagpakasal ulit yung mother niya with a rich businessman by the name of Beverly Russell. By that time Susan turned 16, unti-unti niyang nakilala yung stepfather niya na isa palang sexual predator. Doon na rin siya sinimulang halayin at ang mas masakit nung sinabi niya yung ginagawa sa kanya ng stepfather niya. Linda, her mom, did not even take her seriously. Hindi siya pinaniwalaan. So ang ginawa niya, nagpunta siya sa Department of Social Services. Dito sa atin similar with DSWD. As a result, the stepfather Beverly Russell, or simply Bev, moved out from the home temporarily. Aside from that, wala nang naging actions or any consequences from Susan's report. After a few family counseling sessions, bumalik din yung stepfather niya sa bahay nila, and with Bev back in the house, the sexual molestation continued. What's surprising is that, despite all that, Susan was not only very popular in high school, isa rin siya sa pinakamatatalino. Even her personality, she was known to be extremely extroverted, super friendly, fun kasama at kausap. She even received the award, Friendliest Female in school. Now, after graduating in high school, that's when she met and eventually married her co-worker and high school friend David Smith in 1991 nung nalaman nila na buntis si Susan. Nanganak si Susan sa panganay nilang si Michael. Although they showered Michael with love and attention, naging madalas ang kanilang pag-aaway, especially when Susan became materialistic and controlling. At hindi nagustuhan ni David ang constant na paghingi ng pera ni Susan to her mother. By March 1992, Susan and David were separated, at sa loob ng 7 buwan, they tried on and off to fix the marriage. November 1992, Susan announced she was pregnant again, and because of that, nag-decide sila ni David na magkabalikan. Pinahiram sila ng pera ng mother ni Susan for a down payment on a house sa paniniwala na mas magiging maayos yung pagsasama nila if they have their own home. But over the next 9 months, Susan again became more distant and complained continuously about being pregnant. Within months, naging sobrang toxic ng relationship nila. So weeks after the birth of their second child, Alexander Tyler, Susan and David decided the relationship was over. Ang maganda lang sa kanila, regardless of their broken marriage, both David and Susan were good, attentive, and caring parents who seemed to enjoy the children. Susan, not wanting to work in the same place as David, started working as a bookkeeper/secretary sa isang malaking kumpanya kung saan niya nakilala si Tom. Tom Findlay is the son of Susan's boss. She seduced the guy and they started dating. At this point, Susan and David are in the process of getting a divorce. After months of dating, Susan was already planning her future with Tom, who was also one of their town's most eligible bachelors. Tom, on the other hand, was thinking about ending the relationship with Susan. October 17, 1994, just days before David and Susan's divorce papers were filed, nakatanggap ng Dear John letter si Susan from Tom saying na he's ending their relationship. May mga binigay siyang rason which were all pertinent to this whole tragic story. One, dahil magkaiba yung backgrounds nila. Pangalawa, hindi niya nagustuhan yung nakita niya one time si Susan na nakikipaghalikan sa asawa ng kaibigan niya sa isang party. At higit sa lahat, ayaw ni Tom na magkaroon ng anak at wala siyang interest na maging stepfather ng mga anak ni Susan. Susan was devastated at naging sobra siyang depressed. At para makuha ang atensyon at simpatya ni Tom, for some reason, Susan revealed some very shocking truths to him. For one, she's still having sexual affairs sa kanyang stepfather Bev and husband David. Pero ang mas nakakagulat, pati sa tatay ni Tom, boss ni Susan, she had admitted to having sexual relationships with. Di makapaniwala si Tom at obviously wala siyang nakuhang sympathy from the guy. At yun ang hindi matanggap ni Susan. Since then, she would call him several times a day, would go to his office and try to talk to him. She became obsessed in winning Tom back. On the evening of October 25, 1994, this happened a week after Tom broke up with her. Susan, who was still very much depressed, decided to drive somewhere to clear her head with her sons. While driving, she had claimed na nung nag-red light, of course kailangan niyang huminto, na according to her was at an empty intersection. That's when the black man got inside the car. Tinutukan siya ng baril at inutusan siyang lumabas and drove away. Humingi ng tulong si Susan sa pinakamalapit na bahay na nakita niya, called the authorities and reported the incident. While the authorities searched for their children, Susan and her husband David pleaded with the press for the safe return of their sons.
Hey, I can't do anything but think about them. And I just want to hug them so bad.
Actually, from the very beginning, investigators thought Susan was lying. Napakaraming inconsistencies sa mga statements niya. For one, yung statement ni Susan na nag-red light so she had to stop wouldn't have turned red for her unless a vehicle was present on the intersecting road. Ibig sabihin, hindi magte-turn red yung traffic light kapag wala namang ibang sasakyan sa kabila. So that obviously conflicted with her statement that she did not see any other cars there when the carjacking took place. At isa pa sa dumagdag sa suspicions ng mga pulis, yung description na binigay ni Susan for composite drawing. It was too generic in the sense that it described half of the African American men who lived in the community. Kumbaga maitim yung balat, may ilong, may mata, napakaraming tao na ganun ang itsura. If that's the person na sinasabi mong kumuha sa anak mo, wouldn't you give a more specific description? And when she was asked kung saan siya papunta on the evening of the alleged carjacking, Susan said she had been on her way to see Mitch Sinclair, a 24-year-old textile mill worker who was dating her best friend. Ang problema, that person hadn't been expecting her and she wasn't even home that night. May binigay din siyang statement na she had taken the children to Walmart, but no one could recall seeing the family there. She then admitted nagsinungaling siya. Why? According to Susan, baka magmukha siyang suspicious kung sasabihin niya yung totoo na nagdadrive siya late at night kasama yung dalawa niyang anak. Because the investigators had been suspicious of Susan's story, they gave her 2 polygraph tests, also known as lie detector tests. Reportedly, she failed on both. With all of Susan's inconsistencies and lies, you might be asking, what really happened to Michael and Alexander? The tragic truth will be revealed on part 2 of Susan Smith, Mother Who Killed Kids. And that's it for today's video. See you on the next one.